And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for taking the time to attend this orientation on face-to-face activities this first semester academic year 2022-2023. As we all know, the department is, yes, clap. Ay, nag-clap kasi. As we all know, the department is gradually opening its doors for the F2F activities for certain DMMME courses. Kaya naman, ang karamihan sa atin ay muling makakaapak or finally makakaapak ng department. But before that, we must know our F2F schedule and guidelines na we must follow para maayos ang pagbabalik eskwela natin. So without further ado, I will give the floor to our Assistant Department Chair, Ms. Mitch Irene Galvan-Oyales, to discuss this afternoon's agenda. Mitch.
Thank you, Tiff. Okay, so again, welcome to our orientation para sa mga F2F classes ng department. Okay, so our agenda for today is that we will be presenting kung ano-ano ba yung mga DMME classes na magkakaroon ng F2F activities and their schedule. Okay, marami ng estudyante ang nagtatanong kung kailan ba sila makakaapak na ng department. So ipapresent yan one by one ng ating mga program coordinators. And of course, we will be presenting the DMME safety and health guidelines na everyone must strictly follow para ma-ensure natin na safe pa rin yung ating pagbabalik eskwela. And then we will be having an announcement regarding to the lab safety exam since karamihan sa mga magpa-participate for the F2F activities will be the ones na magpa-perform ng experiments sa mga laboratories. So meron din kaming pa-exam para dyan. So makinig kayong maigi during the orientation. Malay nyo mamaya by the end, ibigay yung exam. Okay, so to make this program shorter or not to keep you waiting, okay, so mag-start na tayo with the presentation ng mga program coordinators on the DMME classes and their respective schedule. So we'll begin with the METE program. So may we call on Ma'am Joy to present for the METE program.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone. So, I will be presenting ano ba yung plans or ano ba yung naging discussion namin for the F2F classes of the METE program for the first semester of AY 2022 and 2023. So, next slide please. So, ayun. So, actually, itong guiding principles is something that was also adopted by the other programs. Pero, during our decision making, ano ba yung naging guide namin in order to decide which subjects should have F2F activities and alin subjects yung kayang i-keep as fully online. So, ano ba yung unang-una, ano ba yung framework that we want to follow? So, of course, all of us started from a fully online or remote na classes. So, ang gusto natin for this coming semester is yun nga, as guided din by UP and other memos na, you transition from a fully online na format to limited F2F. And for the F2F, we want to prioritize classes which require the face-to-face activities based also on our experiences and difficulties during the remote learning experience. So in order for us to do that, in-identify namin alin ba yung essential to have an F2F component. So keyword dito is essential, not nice to have, di ba? Kasi iba yung na, okay lagyan ng F2F. So itong mga subjects na list down namin, sila yung na-identify namin. Ito, kailangan na talaga ng estudyante na may face-to-face component to. So some of the activities that we have shortlisted are summative exams, laboratory activities, and experiments, and focus group discussion. So one of the motivation also, so this is applicable for both METE and EMC. METE magkakaroon pa lang is we have professional examinations. And to also prepare our student, we see the need na magkaroon na ng time-bound na exam that would also train our students sa mga future endeavors nila. So next slide po. So ayan, so our strategy was first to list down what are the subjects that we would be teaching for the first semester. And we identified the different subjects. So meron kaming fully online courses. So ito, naka-upload na naman to sa CRS. We have also courses with some F2F sessions, which is yung classic blended natin. So for the classic blended, if you read the memo, di ba, ito yung mga classes na mas flexible yung F2F component. And for our laboratories, it was designed to have a blended block na model. And mostly F2F or fully F2F is yung thesis, which is METI 199. Next slide po. Ayan. So we separated yung courses and yung description nila. So as mentioned, yung classic blended, sila yung combination of FTR and online modes of learning wherein yung scheduled activities will be informed agad. So what are the example of activities? Focus group discussion and summative examinations. Yung palang schedule ng lahat ng F2F classes for METI is naka-upload na sa CRS. So you can already find the schedule there. And I will also show you yung summarized na calendar for each year level. So next is blended block. So most of our or all of the laboratories that we have uses this model. So same lang din, may block lang siya. So we identified select experiments in the laboratory wherein mag-face-to-face yung mga estudyante. And of course, for our thesis, siya yung fully F2F depending on the coordination of the advisor and the students. So example of activities are experiment, thesis defense. Next slide po. So, ayan, sige, siguro next slide na po. Ayan, so to summarize, based on year level, so for our first year student, they are fully online. Yung second year, sila yung combination of classic blended and blended block. And yung third year, sila yung mostly classic blended and blended block. And yung sa fourth year student, sila yung mostly online except for 199, which is fully F2F. And all of our service courses, so yung mga courses na ino-offer namin for EM students and yung mga triple ME na ino-offer ng METI are all fully online. So for the calendar of activities, Ma'am Mitch, pwede bang pa-share to yung calendar? Ayan, so ito, i-check nyo na lang yung tiny URL. But again, this is already uploaded sa CRS. But if you want a detailed description of each activities, tapos yung schedule, tapos kung sino yung assigned na faculty na, and the room assignment of that particular activity. So you can find this in this tiny URL na link. So madali lang naman siya tandaan. Ayan, chinat ni Sir Jepoy. So thank you, Sir Jepoy. METI F2F calendar. So nandiyan na yung for second year, for third year, and for fourth year. So kung hindi nyo naman fina-follow yung format, you can also check kung may iba kayong subject pang third year or pang ibang year level. So makikita nyo rin siya dito. So I think po that's it for the BS METI program. So thank you, Ma'am Mitch, Sir Jeff.
Thank you, Ma'am Joy. Okay, so kung meron kayong questions, i-reserve na lang muna natin mamaya sa open forum. So we can proceed now with the presentation naman ng METI program. So let's call on now Sir Jepoy.
Thank you, Ma'am Mitch. Before I start pala, Ma'am Joy, bigyan niyo raw access yung mga estudyante niya. Thank you.
Ay, sige. Thank you.
So yun. So similar lang kami sa METI ng guiding principles, but meron lang kinaibahan due to the intricacies of the METI program. But based on the guiding principle, well, pare-pareho lang naman yung sinundan ng different undergraduate programs natin. And from that consideration, ang pinpoint namin na subjects with face-to-face component is METI 165.1, METI 180, METI 194, and METI 200. So the other METI courses that will be offered for this SEM, including yung mga triple ME 14 and triple ME 21, though yung triple ME 21 is mainly for EM, they will all be fully remote. Kasama dun yung exams. Okay? So Math E23, 141, Math E165, Math E171 will be fully online, while these others will have face-to-face component. So next slide, please. So yan. So for Math E165.1, this is a subject for our third years. Though, yeah. So design siya for third years as a checklist, and ang title niya is Material Synthesis and Processing Laboratory. So yung word dun is laboratory. So we want you to experience mag-lab naman. So for the last 2 years, na pandemya tayo, so hindi yung hands-on lab. So dito natin babawiin. So for the schedule, so ang nagtuturo nito si Ma'am Mitch, si Sir Josh, and si Ma'am Tiff. They will orient you more on what would happen during this 1, 2, 3, 4, kung ano mang ilang weeks to, I think 5 weeks na to. But ang main activity nyo dyan would be experimentation. So yung pupunta kayo ng lab, mag-experiment talaga kayo. And yung class sizes natin, I pegged it at around 18 to 20 for each class because we want to parang yung space constraints kasi ng department. So dahil nasa pandemya pa rin tayo, we need to exercise proper social or like physical distancing. And ang mangyayari dito according kanila madam and sirs ay may parang shifting siya. So yung subject hahatiin natin into yung section hahatiin natin into 2. Yung first batch and second batch. So parang 10 students for the Wednesday schedule and 10 students for the Friday schedule yung papasok. Para lang magkasya sa lab. Kasi for a lot of you, hindi pa kayo nakapunta ng department, makikita nyo, maliliit lang yung mga labs natin na kailangan talaga hatiin yung class. But don't worry, lahat naman tayo makakapag-lab. So those will be 4 weeks, I think. 3 to 4 weeks of laboratory experiment. And sa dulo, final exam, December 12. So depende na sa kanila kung ano yung mode na yan. So that's from November to December. Next slide naman. Next slide naman is Math E180. Math E180 naman, this will be taught by Sir Ed and Ma'am Eileen. So si Ma'am Eileen is ating returning faculty. You may or may not know her. But makikilala niyo siya ngayon. So Math E180 is for our 4th year students. And dito naman, this is a focus group discussions and long exams ang mangyayaring face-to-face activity nito. So Math E180 requires a lot of collaborative group work. And we find it necessary, or the instructors found it necessary na ipag face-to-face na kayo para naman marunong kayo, para ma-acquire yung skill to work in groups. Because yun, Math E180 siya. So date na to is weeks 9 to 16, November, weeks 9 to 16, tama? Basta from November 3 to December 20 to 21. Next, please. We have Math E194. For Math E194 naman, this is our design course. It's one of the terminal courses of the Math E program, Material Selection and Design. So sa Math E 4-year curriculum natin, remember, you have your design and your research na tracks na ginagawa natin. So ito yung sa design track natin. So this will be taught by Ma'am Jill, me, and Sir Ken. And we found it necessary to have face-to-face since there will be collaborative group work as well as prototyping of your designed things. So you will be producing a product na pwede nyo i-prototype during the department. And we apply this for face-to-face since you might need equipment that is necessary for fabrication that is housed in the department, or you will need space for you to make your prototypes. So again, design namin November to December, November 7 to December 17. And lastly, we have Math E200. So for Math E200, undergraduate thesis. So for a lot of you, this will be a new experience. It's a different kind of class. So sa different Math E class or sa different classes nyo sa university, usually may instructor, then may pumupuntang estudyante. Sa undergraduate thesis natin na course, iba yung structure niya. It's basically individual work, independent work. It's independent research. You're making your thesis. If you have already noticed sa Math E200 natin, CRS, wala siyang schedule. Kasi you will be making your own schedule with guidance with your advisor. So as the Math E program coordinator, I coordinate with the different undergraduate thesis advisors kung paano yung magiging schedule nito. And I have tasked them, the different thesis advisors, to determine kung ano yung magiging schedule for each student. because sino ba nagsabi? I think si Doc Chard. Iba't ibang timpla natin sa bawat research. So, depende dun sa gagawin yung research, pwede kayong magkaroon ng maraming face-to-face activities or maybe wala na, hindi nyo kailangan ng face-to-face activities. Let's say, kunwari nag-simulate kayo for, let's say, this semester. So, depende sa thesis advisor nyo, yung magiging scheduling nyo. So, for all of you that is taking Math E200, please communicate with your thesis advisors. Okay? Kaya actually yung enlistment natin, hindi ko ginagawa sa pre-enlistment kasi kailangan nakausap nyo muna yung thesis advisor nyo bago kayo enlist dun sa klase. So we need to communicate with your thesis advisors kasi sila yung maglalagay sa inyo sa cyclical shifting model natin or basically the scheduling on the different labs that you can access. And for the face-to-face activities that will be done, tawag dito, this would be please, I've instructed the advisors to limit it to yung research experiments, yung kailangan nyo talagang gawin sa department. Kasi limited din yung space natin and makita nyo maraming gumagamit. So maraming nag-share. So please plan out your research as early as now para makita nyo yung schedules and malaman natin kung saan kayo mag-fit. Okay? So for that, face-to-face activities and yeah. So this is for the whole semester. Pero yung in-apply namin dyan, this is full face-to-face. Pero depende pa rin sa advisor nyo kung ano yung magiging final schedule nyo. And ang kasunduan namin, I think sabi rin ni Ma'am Mitch, is dapat nakaschedule kayo para makapasok ng department. I think that will be discussed in the next bullet. Okay? And one last note na lang bago matapos. So we've strived to keep yung schedule natin from November to December because we can naman. Para lang yung mga hindi pa wala pang accommodations, November na lang kayo mag-start. Then December, para hindi na tayo mag-overflow ng January. Then for the other Math E subjects, wala naman tayong face-to-face exams. So, ayun. Yun lang. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Jepoy. So again, if you have questions, pwede nyo na lang rin i-type muna sa chat box, tapos i-entertain natin after during the open forum. Yung next ay from the EM program, ay wala na pala, sorry. Okay, so pa-screen share na lang nung sa EM. May we call on Sir Rara?
Hello, ayan. Naririnig na ba ako? Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to our students. Sa EM program naman, actually very similar yung setup with what Ma'am Joy and Sir Jepoy said. So I will just present the specific classes for EM. Tapos, yung sinend ni Ma'am Joy na sheet, meron din tayo, pero pardon me, we are still propagating what's inside. So, aayusin lang din namin. Pero itong link na to, itong sinend ko sa chat, nandyan yung schedule natin. No? So, baka magulat kayo bakit wala pa naman. Pero the contents I'll be discussing today, right now. So, we only have 9 classes this semester that will be offered. Tapos, out of these 9, only select few are offered F2F. So, kinategorize ko siya into several categories, not too dissimilar to what Ma'am Joy showed, yung mga classic blended. Pero straight to the point ko na, no? So, ang mayroong F2F finals ay yung EM10 and EM91. By the way, paki-take note na lang, no? Yung EM91 is offered to, it's a service course to the MET-E students. So, paki-take note of the subjects. For the F2F na selected lab classes, tapos pati yung final exam, it's EM151 and EM172. Now, for our EM190, which is the Mining Research Project 1, F2F yung defense. And then for EM198, which is special problems in mining engineering, F2F, ang experimentation, especially if your research would need experiments or face-to-face laboratory experiments. And then yung defense as well is F2F. And then itong mga natirang offered in the semester, yung EM171, EM152, and EM154 are purely remote or no F2F at all. So isa-isahin lang natin to, no, for each subject. So for EM10, we have yun sabi ko nga, finals, may schedule na dito, no? Pwede nyo i-screenshot or yung binigay kong bit.ly/EMF2F calendar, ilalagay din namin tong information doon for everyone, especially for the freshies. Ito yung iti-take, no? Freshies ng EM and freshies ng MET-E, as well as yung bagong shift and transferees. Now, for the lectures activities, everything will be held remotely or online, both synchronous and asynchronous. It will depend on the instructor and as well as the specific activity. So please follow na lang kung ano yung sasabihin ng mga specific instructors ninyo during the start of the SEM. So we will announce naman those. Now for EM91, again, this is for the MET-E students. Now, you will also have an F2F finals on this date and at this venue. And then everything else, again, is remote lectures and activities, both synchronous and asynchronous. Now, for EM151, there will be selected lab classes on these within these dates. Yung September 27 to December 21, hindi yan lahat ay lab. Okay? There will be selected lang. So please make sure that you get your schedule specifically from the lab instructor. I-announce naman yun kung alin yung specific na may face-to-face meetings. And then yung F2F finals, meron din. It's on this date. Ayan, and in this venue. And then everything else, lectures and other activities will be remote. Now, for EM172, it's the similar category, no? There will be specific lab classes, but for EM172, may specific dates na, December 14, 16, and 21 at this time, and then at this venue, yung computational lab, and then meron ding F2F finals on this date, and then everything else is remote. Okay, punta tayo sa 190. This is Mining Research Project 1. Again, wala namang experimentation pa for this kasi that will be done in the next subject, yung Mining Research Project 2. This will be proposal. So ang meron lang F2F is yung proposal defense on this date and venue. Then everything else will be remotely held. Pero yung EM198, which is for the old curriculum, kasi in the old curriculum, the thesis is EM198. For F2F experimentations, we'll be following the student shifting cycle. So you would need to coordinate with your advisors as well as the specific laboratories. Kailangan may request ito kung kailan kayo at kung anong specific na dates and time kayo gagamit. So more will be discussed as well in the safety procedures later. And then yung final thesis defense is scheduled on this date, January 9, and this venue. And then everything else, again, if there are lectures to be held, it will be held synchronous and asynchronously remotely. And then finally, itong mga to, itong 171, fully remote, wala pang schedule ng finals, pero lahat naman, everything is remote. Ganun din sa EM152, which is part of the old curriculum. And finally, for the EM154, which is also an old curriculum subject, everything will be held remotely. So yun lang ang subjects na i-offer ng EM for this SEM. Please note, however, that for the geology classes, I think marami kasi tayong geol classes, no, from all the way from geol 11 to 41 to 51 to, ano bang i-offer this SEM? 41 pala, saka 112, lahat yon ay may face-to-face laboratory. So please coordinate or at least get in touch with your instructor sa geol. Ganun din sa ibang subjects pa na service courses. And I think that would be all on our end. If you do have questions, please ask them. Tapos again, yung link sa chat, yung lahat ng diniscuss ko ay ilalagay din namin dun sa bit.ly EMF2F calendar. Okay, that would be all for the EM program po. Thank you.
Ayan. So, thank you so much, Sir Rara. Okay, so let's now proceed naman din sa ano naman yung mga safety guidelines na kailangan nating i-observe kapag pumunta na kayo sa department. Okay, so let's now call on Kuya Amiel Abanico, our safety officer.
Hello, good afternoon. Okay naman po yung audio?
Yes po.
Yes po, okay. So, good afternoon sa ating lahat, no? I'm Kuya Amiel, Precision Instrument Technician and Safety Officer ng department. So, alam natin ngayon na halos lahat naman kayo ay excited na pumasok, no? So, almost 2 years rin yung naka-online classes tayo. Excited tayo makita, of course, yung ating instructor, ating professor in person, tapos yung mga classmates natin, and curious din tayo kung ano yung itsura ng department natin ngayon. No? So, ngayon ay we're still in a pandemic, so kailangan pa rin natin sundin mga safety and health protocols natin. So, ito siya. So hindi na tayo masyado magdidwell dun sa ibang, magdidwell too much dun sa ibang slides. So, dun lang tayo sa mga important na slide. Okay? So yung purpose, of course, as I said, nasa pandemic pa rin tayo. So kailangan ulit nating mag-ingat nga. And even though bumababa yung cases ngayon, hindi tayo pwede maging complacent. Kasi meron pang mga ibang virus na lumalabas and nag-mutate ang virus according to sa PGC or Philippine Genome Center. So that's why kailangan pa rin nating mag-follow ng minimum health and safety standards. So this policy applies to all faculty, staff, members, janitors, guards, and of course tayo kayong mga students, researchers who are physically working in the building and attending limited classes. So kasama na rin dito yung mga visitors, no? And yung policy elements, we outlined the required actions, excuse me, may nakaarang. Every employee, staff, researchers, students, visitors, and other personnel should take in order to protect ourselves and coworkers from a potential coronavirus. So hindi lang coronavirus ngayon. Meron pa tayong monkeypox, so wag naman sana, no? For the work flexibility schedule, so makikita natin dito yung work arrangement per alert level. So ito ay naka-implement pa rin ngayon. So tayo ay nasa level 1 na. Sana ma-retain na lang tayo sa level 1 or sana mawala na talaga to, no? So class instructors, professors are encouraged to create scheduling in observance with a work arrangement under a new alert level system. So ito yung ating alert level system. Ngayon si instructor or si professor ay gagawa sila ng parang sigurat kung ilan yung papapasukin nilang students pag tumaas yung alert level natin. So, for reference, yung maximum number of occupants will be the 50% capacity na indicated sa ating cyclical safety schedule. Cyclical safety schedule. Then, for general hygiene rules, before entering the building, of course, mag-wear tayo ng face mask. Yung face shield natin, voluntary for areas under alert level 1 and 3. Pero kung tataas man to alert level 4, depende na dun sa establishment. Then, of course, meron tayong mga alcohol nandun sa entrance natin, malapit kila Kuya Guard, so pindot lang kayo doon. For students, students must fill out a health declaration form using QR code posted at the building's entrance. So, meron tayong mga, meron dun sa entrance natin, meron dun na QR code na pwede nating scan. Pag nandun naman tayo sa entrance, masasagap na natin yung internet natin, so pwede tayo connect or kung wala naman, data. In case lang na wala talagang internet, meron namang mapoprovide si Kuya Guard doon ng manual health declaration checklist. So mano-mano na lang. And then, meron drop box doon lang natin ihulog, no? No health declaration form submitted, they will be marked absent. Okay po, malinaw po yun. Doon naman sa body temperature check, so mag-scan tayo doon, meron din sa entrance. So 37.5 degrees or higher, hindi naman kayo kaagad pauwi, no? It doesn't work that way. So ang gagawin is magpapahinga muna si person doon sa may isolation area for 5 minutes and then kukunan ulit ng temperature. Kung mas mataas pa rin yung temperature, yun ay papupuntay na natin sa infirmary na. When inside the building, so observe lang natin yung physical distancing. So dati, minimum natin ay nasa 2 meters. Ngayon, naging 1 na lang siya. Since marami naman sa atin na vaccinated. So yun yung reason behind bakit nag-decrease ng distance na, no? Para physical distancing. Face mask must always be worn at all times and remove the same only when eating or drinking. Sabi ng PGC ni Dr. Ayes ng Philippine Genome Center, pwede tayo naman kumain sa mga well-ventilated spaces. For example, ang nakita kong magandang ventilation talaga sa atin, sa building natin ay nasa 3rd floor since wala na siyang aircon. So lahat ng windows ay naka-open na, even the doors, i-open na natin para mas maganda yung circulation ng air. Tsaka ang pinaka-importante sa lahat ay yung air exchange. So dun sa 3rd floor, medyo maganda-ganda dun. Maganda-gandang kumain din kung hindi naman natin talaga may iwasan. So pwede natin itanong kung sino yung concerned doon. No? Then, students are encouraged to wash their hands with soap and water. So meron naman tayong provided soap and water sa ating mga comfort rooms provided ng ating building. Limited face-to-face classes. So if the students are feeling ill and or have cold symptoms na pwedeng associate sa COVID-19, much better na mag-online class na lang muna and inform ang ating advisor or instructor natin. In case of outbreak naman or COVID-19 cases, so refer lang tayo dun sa UP DMMME face-to-face guidebook na provided po yata ni Ma'am Tiff. So, yan. So, nandun lahat yung para magiging guide natin kung meron tayong outbreak or meron tayong case ng COVID. Okay. So yung venue, only certified research and instructional laboratories and rooms are allowed for F2F work. Meron tayo doon mga rooms na labeled naman siya, properly labeled na hindi siya intended for students. Meron din mga cyclical shifting schedule na nakapost for each laboratory. So for those na wala naman nakalagay, hindi naman tayo allowed na pumasok dun sa room. So yun, nire-restrict tayo doon, no? For the isolation room, just in case may nakapasok na isang student sa building, doon na siya nag-exhibit ng symptoms. So meron tayong isolation area doon sa may gazebo, pangatlo. I mean, doon sa may malapit sa gate sa likod. So yun yung ating isolation room sa loob. For other requirements, students should bring their own appropriate PPEs, face mask, or kung face shield, kung gusto. Building naman, ang department ay magpo-provide din naman ng face mask just in case na napigtal or kailangan ng palitan yung face mask ng student. Disinfection stations will be put up in designated areas. So currently, ang bawat rooms natin and laboratories sa labas ay meron ng may mga hand sanitizer na tayo doon. Proper ventilation will be observed. Example ng opening ng windows, putting stand fans, installing exhaust fans. So as I said nga, ang air exchange ay yun daw yung pinaka-importante para at least ma-refresh or mawala yung mga kung meron mang virus dun sa loob. For working space allocation, cyclical shifting schedule shall be posted on the entrance, yung kanina. So dun sa cyclical shifting schedule, naka-indicate dun yung maximum number of occupants per room or space. And yun, naka-post din siya sa karapito nga, as I said. Students will be allowed only on the schedule indicated in the cyclical shifting schedule. So magkakaroon tayo ng random inspection na i-check natin, baka mamaya may mga students na pumasok na wala naman pala dun sa schedule. So yun, iiwasan natin yun, no? Offices, rooms, and laboratories should observe appropriate ventilation. Opening the windows is highly recommended. The direction of electric fans should not be changed and must not be directed to the person. Kasi baka mamaya, yung mga binubugan ng electric fan na yan, kung sa inyo man nakatutok, paano kung infected, no? Or may virus dun sa hangin. So sa inyo mapupunta yon. So dapat hindi gagalawin yung mga direction ng electric fans kasi yan ay naka-fix na. Okay. Cleaning and disinfecting arrangement. So sila kuya janitors natin sa maintenance team, sila yung magdi-disinfect ng doorknobs, faucets, light switches, yung mga frequently touched stuff sa department. At least 4 times a day. Twice in the morning and twice in the evening. In the afternoon, sorry. Cleaning and disinfecting of the floors will be done once a day. Then meron tayong separate bins na naka-designate. Medyo naubusan lang tayo ng yellow plastic pero we're trying our best na magkaroon tayo na ito kasi parang hindi pa kasi dumarating yung ating stock. So magkakaroon tayo ng designated bin for infectious waste. Ito ay kulay yellow, the plastic bag. So hanapin nyo lang siya dun sa palibot ng department. Huwag kayong basta-basta magdi-dispose ng mga PPs or infectious waste kung saan-saan mang bin kasi ang Quezon City, LGU ay medyo mahigpit. Pag merong nakita yung garbage collector na siguro hindi nasa tamang lagayan yung mga PPs, hindi nila kokolektahin ang ating mga waste. Okay? So temporary storage and holding areas of waste should also be disinfected. So disinfect din natin ng ating mga kuyas and ates, no? Storage areas should be clean, secure, protect from elements, pests, and disease vectors. For the materials and resources, so the inventory committee will make sure that all necessary materials and supplies, alcohol, etc. will always be available. And information on maximum number of occupants and the cleaning, disinfection scheduling is posted on every doors of the lab, offices, or meeting room. This is based on the floor area, foot traffic condition, and the minimum recommended physical distance everyone should observe. So ito naman si post-executing communication. If you have questions or clarifications, concerns, pwede nyo kaming inform. Ako po ay part ng post-execute team. So si post-execute team ay composed na department chair, safety officer, and yung ating building admin committee. So ito po yung aming contact details, email address, and contact numbers. So that's it for today. Thank you po.
Thank you so much, Kuya Amiel, for the presentation ng ating safety guidelines. So again, no, very strict tayo sa implementation nun. Meron kayong kopya ng student guidebook na provide si Tiff sa atin. Actually, before pa lang ng registration period, dinistribute na namin yon para mabasa na ninyo. And meron dong mga forms na kailangan ninyong fill-upan para maka-attend kayo ng mga F2F activities. So sa mga hindi pa nag-fill up nung required forms, okay, especially yung mga, I think yung mga hindi magdo-dorm, hindi agad nagmadaling mag-fill up noon. Okay, so kahit hindi kayo magdo-dorm, please fill upan nyo na kasi definitely may mga mag-a-attempt na rin sa inyo, magbabalak na sa inyong pumunta subject sa agreement ninyo ng inyong thesis advisor kung mag-uumpisa na kayong pumunta dito sa building for your thesis experiment. So kailangan na fill up nyo na yung nire-require na forms doon sa guidebook natin. Basahin ninyo yon and ulit-ulitin ninyo ng pagbabasa. Okay? And syempre, more than the pagbabasa, kailangan nyo talagang i-follow. Okay, so highlight ko lang again, meron tayong QR code in front of the building. As much as possible, kailangan talaga online form yung pagdating niyo doon, i-scan nyo na agad or sometimes kami nakasave na yung declaration form na yon kasi madalas na kayo pumupunta. Okay, so bago pumasok ng building, medyo malapit-lapit pa lang kayo, fill upan nyo na siya, but be honest kasi itatanong doon kung ano yung mga nararamdaman ninyo during that time. So sinabi na kanina, kung meron kayong nafe-feel na any symptom, might as well inform nyo na lang si prof ninyo and wag na tayong pumasok sa building. Okay? So, fill upan ninyo yung online na form. Okay, so in case lang talaga na hindi tayo parang, well, we actually discourage yung dun sa manual kasi we want to prevent the chances of having more contact dun sa pen, sa ano, kasi maraming potentially humahawak ng mga pens doon. So magdala rin kayo ng sarili ninyong pen as much as possible and disinfect talaga yung kamay ninyo time to time. Okay, and then also, marami rin sa inyong maglalab na. Okay, so may mga sa previous experience namin, may mga students pa rin na nagtatapon ng face mask and ng kanilang gloves sa regular trash bin. Okay, so hinighlight na in yellow bins lang kayo magtatapon or yellow trash bag. Okay, so yung only those bins intended for infectious waste. Okay, so wag po sana tayong mag-deviate on any policy na present sa atin earlier. Okay, so, and then we also have an announcement regarding po doon sa lab safety exam. Ay, wait lang. Ma'am Joy, ano nga po
Hello,
yung ano natin dito?
Si Sir, si Sir Stan, Ma'am Mitch yung
okay.
mag-a-announce as FIC.
Okay, so,
Hello, good afternoon.
Ayan.
Narinig ba ako?
Hi, Sir Stan. Yan
Hello,
po,
good
narinig na po
afternoon
namin.
everyone. Actually, Ma'am Mitch, okay lang ba na bukod sa safety exam may iba pa akong i-announce din?
Sige po.
Sige. So, pero primarily about sa safety exam naman to. So, since all of us are coming back to UP, no, and the department, and we're using the facilities, we need to be sure na lahat tayo is safe around the equipment and chemicals na ginagamit natin, no. So, isa sa the ways we used to do it was to have students before they start their laboratory experiments or before they start the SEM, especially if they have laboratory classes, they need to take a safety exam. So ngayon ibabalik natin yung ganong system, and ang plano namin is we will have an OVLEC class for it. So the way it works is you will enroll in an OVLEC class, especially if meron kayong, but we will coordinate this with all the lab instructors as well, no? So you will be enrolled in an OVLEC class, and dun sa OVLEC class, nandun yung lab safety orientation, all about safety around chemicals, around the building, hazards, and etc. No? So nandun yung ano, after watching the safety orientation video, pwede na kayo mag-proceed to take the exam. Now, the exam is worth 50 points, and for you to be able to pass the exam, you need at least 40, no? So 80% yung passing natin sa lab safety exam. And once na nakapag lab safety exam kayo, pwede na kayong ma-awardan ng certificate. And this certificate will be good for 1 year. So this is for, pwede nyo nang magamit siya for the first SEM, second SEM, and the mid-year, no? So all students that have laboratory classes must have a laboratory safety certificate for them to be able to use the facilities, no. So bukod dun sa ano, sa laboratory safety exam, meron din tayong ano, and maybe some of you are already familiar, meron din tayong lab request forms, no. So especially for those that are using laboratories outside of their instructional classes, example, yung thesis, research projects, special projects, for you to be able to reserve a particular laboratory, kailangan dumaan kayo sa laboratory request system, no? So we'll integrate this website. Pero makikita nyo naman siya. Meron tayong mga links sa ano, no? Sa Facebook, I think sa Facebook meron pa ring links to the laboratory. Ano, no? So we'll be including dun sa orientation, lab safety orientation, we'll be including the general procedures on how you can request a lab or how you can reserve a lab for your research purposes, no? Now, when you're using the labs, especially if ano kayo, no, you require assistance. For example, you require assistance of a technician like Kuya Miel or Kuya Mark, Kuya Jojo, etc. Kailangan yung mag-fill out din ng job order form, no? Now, if you go into the technician's office, nakakalat sa mga doors nila, merong QR code doon, and that is the job order form, no? So you need to fill it out para kumbaga ma-queue yung job order niyo doon sa system natin for the technician to be able to process the job orders, no? So, yun lang naman. So, yun yung 3 reminders ko. So, for usage of the lab, meron tayong tatlo. Number 1 is the lab safety exam, which grants you a certificate. Number 2 is you need to have a lab reservation form, especially if you are using labs that are outside of your instructional class. And number 3, kailangan din ng job order form if you are requiring the assistance of our technicians. So yun lang naman. So thank you, Ma'am Mitch, for the time, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much, Sir Stan, for the reminders sa paggamit natin ng mga laboratories. So, so maliban dun sa mga safety protocols for in prevention ng mga spread of infectious disease, we actually have the lab safety exam before pa lang talaga magkaroon ng pre-pandemic, because we always want to have a safety practice pagdating sa pagpe-perform natin ng mga lab activities. Okay, so kaya sana hindi kayo magulat o manibago na kailangan ninyo mag-take pa ng exam bago kayo makagamit ng laboratory. Kasi kahit kami noon, taon-taon pinagdadaanan namin yan. Okay? So we will now proceed to our open forum. So sa dami ng present namin, panigurado marami na rin kayong gustong itanong. Hi, Ma'am Tiff.
Hello. Ayan, so sa mga magtatanong, you may type your questions sa chat box or you may raise your hand, tapos unmute and then say your question. Patulong na lang dun. Baka di ko Okay, so we have a question from Mr. Acosta.
Good afternoon po. Pwede daw po ba makisit in yung ibang students sa lab classes? Yung mga nakatapos na po ng lab classes.
Ayan, I'll answer that question na lang din, no? Parang for the current schedule ng mga estudyante, it's designed kasi para pasok siya dun sa minimum requirement ng students dun sa lab space. So, sit-in would not be allowed, pero we can schedule, parang ito din yung sinabi namin sa mga graduates before, we can schedule a special na activity if you want a tour in the laboratory or gumamit ng laboratory, siguro you can do this as a batch, tapos schedule natin siya outside dun sa schedule ng mga ibang estudyante. Kasi yun nga, parang yung, tama di ba Ma'am Mitch, yung current design natin is yung capacity ng laboratory is enough for the students. So kapag may nagsisit in, baka kasi mag-exceed tayo ng maximum capacity of the spaces.
Thank you po.
Naka-raise hand ulit. Mr. Elapanyo.
Hello ma'am. May confusing lang po sa schedule. So yun po. Yung METI 127 po parang may midterm exam po siya noong November 29 na 1:30 to 4:30 PM. Pero yung at that day din po may F2F kami ng 127.1 or 177.1 na 2:30 to 5:30 naman po. So ano po yung tamang schedule po talaga for dun sa 127 midterm exam?
I-follow up na lang siya ha, parang kay Doc Kate at saka kay Doc Judge dun sa schedule ng midterm nila. So I'll just update the calendar parang upon consultation with them kung ano yung final na schedule. Or I'll also coordinate with your 127.1 and 177.1.
Thank you po.
May question pa? I guess may question sa chat. Okay na po ba ang water supply sa mga CRs? May water supply naman sa CR. That's that. Questions?
Yan. So habang naghihintay ng more questions, so I think i-share screen ko na lang din para makita ninyo ano yung binabanggit naming cyclical shifting para dun sa kailangan na ando naka-indicate yung pangalan ninyo. Okay, so this is the example. Okay, so sa bawat pinto ng laboratory, may nakadikit na ganito. Okay, so ang kukulitin ninyo kapag biglang pagdating ninyo doon is hindi pa pala in-indicate ng advisor ninyo or ng lab head yung pangalan ninyo on that specific schedule na napagkasunduan ninyo. You have to remind them, kulitin ninyo kasi kami nagre-remind rin kami palagi sa lab head, sa lab FIC and sa mga advisors to make sure that the students have a schedule. Okay, so kapag wala kasi kayong schedule dito at nasaktuhan na nag-inspection kami na naandun kayo, sorry to say pero i-evict talaga namin kayo dun sa laboratory. Hindi talaga namin kayo papagamitin ng laboratory for that day. Okay, so kahit may nakaroon kayong experiment for that sked, yon, hindi namin kayo papayagan. So i-update ito. Okay, so before mag-start yung schedule ninyo na magpupunta na kayo sa laboratory. So please coordinate with your advisors. Ayan, si Ma'am Joy.
Ma'am Joy?
Chinek ko pala yung schedule ng 127. Yung midterm exam ninyo is schedule ng Saturday, which is 1:30 to 4:30. And wala naman kayong laboratory at that time.
Ay, ma'am,
Tapos
ano po?
chinek ko rin
Yung date po kasi, November 29 po yung nakalagay. So, di ko po alam kung 26 po ba
Saturday.
yun.
I think this is Saturday.
26
Sige,
po or December
oo,
3.
i-confirm ko na lang ulit kay Ma'am Kate. Pero may chance na this is Saturday yung schedule. So I'll just confirm and update yung calendar.
Thank you po ulit.
Sige.
May question pa po ba?
Dagdag ko lang, Mitch.
Yes,
Doon
yes
sa
sir, Stan.
students na unauthorized yung use nila of the laboratories, the lab FIC can also suspend the lab privileges of those students. No? So pwedeng matanggal yung safety certificate, yung mga ganun. Which has happened before, no? Merong mga kahit nung pre-pandemic era. So yun lang.
Yan. Oo, strict kami kahit hindi, even before the pandemic pa. Okay, so we have to pay schedule, especially if it's outside the instructional lab namin. Okay, so kung hindi rin kayo, bigla na lang rin gagamitin niyo siya for thesis, tapos hindi naman talaga kayo nakaschedule for that, nagsususpend din kami. Even before the pandemic, ganun na yung practice. Yun na yung protocol namin dito sa department. So we're just reminding again everyone na that will take effect. Okay, so para dito sa magiging F2F activities natin. Meron pa ba kayong questions? Ayan.
We have a question from Kenneth Panua.
Hello, good afternoon po. For EM172 lab classes, bali naka-schedule po siya 1 to 3 p.m. Pero yung nasa CRS po na schedule is 2:30 to 4 p.m. Before that po kasi may dual class kami na 1 to 2:30. So baka po mag-overlap yung schedule. Paano po kaya yun?
Hello, Kenneth, wait lang let me check. Kasi yung pinag-basean ko nung time ay yung sa approve ng department. Pero thank you for noticing. Okay. Yes, actually hindi naman siya issue kasi tayo lang din naman yung gagamit sa computational lab. Yes. So actually, sorry for the typo. Susundin natin yung class hours nyo dun sa CRS. Yes. And upon checking, wala namang conflict with other classes. So my bad. Sorry. Paki-note na lang na we will follow definitely yung nasa CRS.
Noted, sir. Thank you po.
Yes. So kung ano yung mga schedule po natin din sa CRS, yun yung magti-take effect, yun yung in-approve rin ng university. So more likely baka nagka-typo nga lang rin kami on the presentation. May question pa?
Ako may announcement ako, Ma'am Mitch.
Go, Ma'am Tiff.
Ayan. So, sa mga students na na-admit from 2020 to the present, kindly fill up the pre-F2F documentation stated in the guidebook kasi doon manggagaling yung listahan na i-forward namin sa health service for your medical health certificates. Thank you. Ayan. So, may mga questions pa ba? Okay, so we have a question from A-Triple-M Rep.
Kailan po ma'am
Yes, ma'am.
deadline nun? Or like until when po yung pinaka-deadline ng F2F documentation po?
Okay, so for those admitted nga sa 2022, from 2020 to 2022, kindly fill up before September 14. Okay? Ayun. For the others, bago kayo pumasok dito sa department. Without that, hindi kayo makapasok. Okay?
Yes. Sine-check namin yung mga submissions ninyo before kayo pumasok dito. And tulad na nabanggit namin, randomly, pag nadatnan namin kayo sa laboratory, na hindi kayo nag-comply dun sa mga requirements na pinapasubmit namin and pinapa-fill up namin, papauwiin namin kayo that day. Hanggang sa ma-comply
Yes.
ninyo yung nire-require namin.
Okay, ang sabi ay paulito ng announcement. Okay, so the announcement for students admitted from 2020, kindly fill up ASAP, actually before September 14, yung pre-F2F documentation stated in the guidebook. Kapag hindi ka nakapag-fill up, hindi namin masasali yung pangalan nyo na ifo-forward sa health service para makuha yung health certificates nyo. Okay? Ayun. And madali lang i-fill up yung pre-F2F documentation. You just need to upload yung proof of vaccination. And yeah. So we have a question. Ma'am, paano po kapag done na sa MedCert? If done na, good job. Pero kailangan pa rin mag-fill up ng pre-F2F documentation for documentation purposes department kasi kailangan nga namin yung proof of vaccination. Okay? Okay. Okay, so we have a question kay Russell David.
Hello po, ma'am. Nakuha ko na po yung medical certificate ko po. Kailangan ko po bang ipasa yun sa college po?
Okay,
sa
so
department?
okay, good question. Actually, now we're trying, we still don't know kung saan siya ipapasa, but kindly, kindly wait for further announcement. Itago nyo muna yung med-search nyo. Mag-announce naman kami sa page kung saan siya ibibigay. Okay?
Okay po. Thank you po, ma'am.
Sige. So, may nagtanong, saan daw makukuha yung guidebook? So, the guidebook is posted sa Facebook page. So, kailangan yung i-follow yung Facebook page. Nandun lang siya. Yeah, meron daw din sa website. Any questions?
Ma'am Tiff, may nagtatanong din po pala kung pwede raw ba humabol sa Google Form for accommodations.
Okay, so for accommodations, Di ba tapos na yung, ay, is this for yung dorm application? Ma'am Shasta.
Let me check. Is Kenneth Bello here? Baka pwedeng siya, magbigay ng
Hello,
details.
ma'am. Good afternoon po. Hindi po sa dorm application po, sa yung outside UP po na accommodation po.
Okay. So, i-open ko na ulit yung accommodation form. So, kindly fill up din yun para malaman namin kung saan kayo nagsistay.
Okay. Thank you po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay, so may nagtanong, yung MedCert po ba na ginamit last mid-year, pwede pang gamitin sa first time? No. Isagot no doon. Okay. Kasi yung MedCert ngayon na binibigyan nila service, ito yung parang receipt na nagbigay ka ng mga lab results, lab test results. Kailangan kasi siya for admission. Hindi lang siya na implement for the past 2 years kasi nga nasa remote learning tayo. Questions? May mga tanong pa ba?
Baka may tanong pa kayo. Or clarification. Or anyone rin from the faculty members who has announcement. Sure, wala na.
Ma'am, mention na si Sir Stan.
Okay.
Yeah. Teka.
This was taken from the social media page ata ng UHS. So maybe this will help some of you for clarification purposes.
Ayun.
Ito din yung sinasabi ni Ma'am Tiff.
Again, iba yung MedCert na kuha nyo yung previous SEMs at saka yung MedCert na hinihingi ngayon ng health service. Yung MedCert ngayon na hinihingi ng health service ay para sa completion ng admission requirements nyo. Hindi lang siya na-implement for the past 2 years kasi hindi nga kayo makakapunta dito sa university dahil nasa remote learning tayo. Okay? Thank you.
May question din dito sa akin is, do we need to provide our own lab gowns? Or yes, you have to provide your own lab gowns. And also, maliban din sa lab gowns, yung inyong safety goggles, yung lab goggles ninyo. Okay, so you also have to bring that kapag nagpa-perform kayo ng mga lab activities.
Yung sa amin, Ma'am Mitch, sa lab namin, ang magkakailangan lang ng lab gown would be yung mga 17.1. The rest, pa-correct na lang ako sa ibang faculty. Yung MET-E 16, MET-E 127.1 and 177.1. Si 177.1 baka kailangan din nila for etching. Pero yung the rest, wala. Work clothes lang na pants, shoes, tapos t-shirt, bawal lang sleeveless. Tapos dapat yun, work clothes nga sila.
Tapos dagdag na rin ako kay sinabi ni Ma'am Joy. Meron din tayong actually mga labs na discourage yung lab gown kasi sumasabit sila and nakukuryente yung mga estudyante. I know. Experience. So depende. Please coordinate with yung lab na pagpa-performan nyo ng experiments, especially din sa thesis kasi depende sa laboratory, iba't iba yung protocol nila.
Tapos, yun din, just to add, I think during, kasi diba parang magsisyllabus discussion pa rin naman yung mga teachers ninyo sa inyo. So, they would give clear detail kung ano ba yung needed for the class and paano i-arrange yung mga activities ninyo. So, hintayin na lang din kayo sa syllabus discussion nila. Para mas malinaw din yung gagawin ninyo throughout the semester.
Yes. Okay, so and again depende yan sa sa classes, sa laboratories na pupuntahan ninyo. May mga laboratories kasi na hazard yung mga may naka-usli rin na or mga habang damit. Okay, but definitely ang natin is yung lab shoes. Okay, so lagi tayong naka-closed shoes. Okay, so yun yung sure. And then yung ibang mga specific sa attires case, so may mga laboratories na magre-require ng goggles kasi may mga pwedeng parang magkaroon ng parang may tatalsik na object or chemicals na hazard yon. Okay, so i-discuss yan in detail. Depende din sa laboratories na magpupuntahan ninyo at saka din sa lab classes. Yan. Tapos may chinat rin si Sir Stan. Okay, minimum PPE is closed shoes, kept tight, or yung parang naka-tie yung hair natin, then sleeved shirts, pants, and jeans. Okay, so pinagbabawal namin yung naka-shorts na maglalab. Okay, so may mga laboratories kasi na kahit hindi man magre-require ng lab gown. Okay, but the students kailangan naka-pants sila. Okay, so as part of your na rin, protection. Okay, so makikita nyo rin yun kung ano yung, di ba may nabanggit rin ni Sir Stan kanina, meron kayong iti-take na lab safety course sa UVLE. Okay, so meron din mga naka-indicate na pagdating din sa mga PPE sa ating lab safety course. Meron pa bang question?
Going once.
O, kasi para pagkakataon niya ng itanong sa lahat, baka concern din yan ng everyone kesa sa iniisa-isa nating tanong yung advisors natin. Okay, so at least ngayon natin, ma-accommodate natin during the orientation.
Again, going once. Go, tanong nyo na.
Hindi ko alam kung...
So may nagtanong, telemed pa rin po ba sa MedCert? Actually, hindi na. And kindly refer doon sa post ni UP Health Service regarding kung paano siya kunin. Pero in-person consultation na siya. Okay, so we have a question from Ms. Dado.
Ma'am, confirm ko lang po. Yung batch 2019 or higher, hindi na po nila need kumuha or mag-fill up ng pre-F2F documentation.
Kailangan pa rin yung pre-F2F documentation. Kasi need namin for documentation purposes, kailangan namin yung proof of vaccination nyo.
Pero po yung sa MedCert sa UPHS, hindi na po need. Tama po ba?
Yes, kasi if I'm not mistaken, yung mga 2019 ay nagpasa na ng laboratory results sa UPHS. Ayun. Pero pag hindi, need nila. Kasi baka na matag sa admission. Na kulang yung documents nyo.
So to further clarify pala, meron tayong mga transferees na kahit 2019 and above yung kanilang tawag dun, student number. I think masasakop kayo nung admission requirements kasi galing kayo sa ibang, let's say, constituent universities ng UP.
Meron ding question dito sa akin. Prior to F2F classes, di na daw po ba kailangan na mag-isolate for a week? Yan, tawagin natin si Kuya Amiel.
Hello. Sabi ng UPHS, pagka ikaw ay nag-travel ng 4 hours or galing ka sa probinsya, you are required to isolate yourself or quarantine for 5 days. Yun yung sabi ng UHS.
Yan. Okay, so luwas na kayo ng mas maaga-aga kung galing pa kayong probinsya na ngayon na alam nyo na yung schedule ninyo. Kasi sinasuggest pa rin ng health service natin na magkaroon kayo ng quarantine or isolation for 5 days since there could be a potential infection during the travel.
By the way, ano siya? Either land or by air.
Yan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kuya Amiel. Okay, so do we have an update na daw ba on the availability of the library for those who are in campus? Nandito si Ma'am Hana. Wala ata si Ma'am Hana.
Hi, hello.
Ayun po, Ma'am Hana.
Regarding library, I think magkakaroon naman ng an orientation yung College of Engineering Library. So, wait lang natin yung announcements nila. I think meron na silang protocols regarding in-campus use of the services doon sa building.
Tokens?
Si Incha na una, pero sige ako na, nawala siya eh. So, may mga nagtatanong kasi, pwede silang pumasok sa building para mag-internet ng mga students. So, sinasabi ko, since meron ng library, doon na lang sila sa library mag-internet. Kasi, pag hindi sila covered dun sa cyclical shifting model, kung wala sila dun sa schedule na yun, hindi sila pwede pumasok sa library.
Nakakuha ata ng premium slot is yung
Sige po, Doc Kens. Kasi based doon sa correspondence namin with the College of Engineering Library, meron po kasing parang ano yun, online na booking of some sort na system para pwede yung kung saan pwedeng i-avail ng students para makapasok sila doon sa building mismo. Pero mas ma-clarify ito doon sa library orientation. So, wait na natin yung announcements. And pwede rin actually tayo mag-request, Doc, ng library orientation with ng meet session, library orientation session with them para mas malaman siguro, ma-reorient yung students doon sa bagong system ng College of Engineering Library.
Ay, hello po. More on additional lang dun sa topic po. Nung nag-hold kami ng freshman orientation sa college, sabi naman ni Ma'am Sharon po ay ready yung library for students na pwedeng pumunta or either mag-aaral or makiki-internet or magagamit ng facilities. Pero as sabi nga po ni Ma'am Hana, may system na i-develop na sinabi din sa pag-enter. Pero the minimum requirement, as mentioned by Ma'am Sharon, would be the Form 5. Kasi lalo na sa mga wala pong ID. So yun. I guess may wait na lang siguro for further announcements for that. But please be aware na, ayun nga, the library is is a safe space for those who would want to go there. Yun lang po.
Thank you, Ma'am Hana, and thank you rin, Sir Rara, for sharing that. Okay, so meron din another question sa mga Math-E. Okay, so paano po if sa Math-E, since November pa yung F2F, most likely galing sa province sa November 1 and 2 and hindi aabot na within 5 days quarantine. Tayo ba yun? Sila Sir Josh. Or Sir Jeff. Gusto pa naman sasabihin natin
Ay,
Sir
ako
Jeff,
ba?
nag-open siya ng mic.
Ay, sorry.
Subjects ata natin yun.
Yeah. So if ganun, hindi naman namin kayo papaluwasin ng maaga, we will just i-raise nyo na lang yung concern nyo sa magiging, tawag dito, sa mga instructors. So 165.1 sila Ma'am Mitch, and sila Ma'am Tiff, and Sir Josh, and sa 180 and 194, sila Sir Ed, Ma'am Eileen, ako, si Ma'am Jill, and si Sir Ken. And if kailangan naman talaga yung yung quarantine requirement, then we can adjust naman na i-move yung start ng face-to-face activity. I think kaya pa naman ng calendars natin if ever. Or another accommodation dito is pwede, baka hindi muna kayo pumasok din sa first pag kailangan nyo talaga mag-quarantine. Pag for some classes na kayang ma-accommodate na ganun. But we'll just talk in class. Yeah. Okay?
Thank you, Sir Jeff. Ganun din sa amin. Nangopya lang pala ako ng sagot ni Sir Jeff.
I suggest na umattend kayo ng course orientation para maglansya yung plano.
Okay, so thank you sa nag-raise nun. So pag-uusapan na rin namin yan sa pag-finalize ng syllabus. Baka meron pa. Or wala na. So we can,
Going once. Going twice. Okay, so before we end this orientation, I would just like to announce na regarding registration na to, na hindi open na yung Zoom sa Monday. So if you have any registration related concerns, just send an email or contact your registration advisors. Okay? So ayun. So thank you very much. Wala nang tanong ha. Once, going twice. Wala nang tanong. So thank you very much for attending this orientation and attend kayo sa course orientation ng mga subjects. Okay? Bye!
Bye, thank you!
Bye!
Bye! Yung sa
Thank
MET-E,
you po.
balitaan ko na lang kayo kapag nag-reply na si Doc Kate. Tsaka si Doc Judge. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ando na to.
Bye.
Okay.
Walang nagtanong tungkol sa food. Yung ba
Actually, walang.
Actually. Okay, food, needs.
Hindi, baka magpa-deliver sila.
Oo.
Pwede din.
Ayan, ba't ma-end? Na-end na natin to. Bye.